This is the Hawk Central Huddle, your weekly peek inside Iowa athletics. I'm Danny Lawhon here with Chad Lysico. And Chad, we've got Iowa in the top 25 after another dominating performance on the road against Indiana. But we move right along into Maryland, which is the first home game in a while and the first home game for a while, and the last home game for a while. The Terrapins bring a different challenge, I think, than what the Iowa defense has seen in a bit. Why don't you talk a bit about the run game for the Terrapins and if that might pose a banged-up Iowa defense any trouble, or whether it plays into their hands?
Yeah, right. Great question. Maryland does average 245 yards rushing per game, more than 6 yards per attempt. And really that average is helped or hurt, depending how you look at it, is they kind of go for big plays out of the run game. It's a lot like Georgia Tech in that 2010 Orange Bowl. Iowa talked a lot yesterday about eye discipline, watching, not being distracted by motion and movement, and they're going to do all kinds of things. You're going to see jet sweeps, you're going to see motion, you're going to see an occasional long pass too. That's what Maryland kind of tries to hit, those home runs too. They get you creeping up. The injury situation I think is okay for Iowa, because they get Nick Niemann back, and he's one of their better linebackers at that outside linebacker spot. Assuming he's full go, that will really help Iowa, and the whole defensive line remains healthy.
There's been a lot of rejoicing, I think, over the rediscovery of the Iowa offense the past couple of weeks. It will be challenged in a different way by a weather forecast that's gone under the radar, pardon the pun, I guess. It's going to be really windy at Kinnick Stadium this Saturday. Given the run game that we just talked about, are the Terrapins at perhaps of an advantage there, and should the Iowa offense be on a bit of a worry alert?
Yeah, I think that is a good point. The forecast does call for around 25-mile-an-hour winds in Iowa City on Saturday. That can obviously change between the time we are talking now and Saturday, always could. But given the situation, two things that favors Maryland. They run the ball a ton. Iowa's run game has not been great. Certainly the pass game has been really good, but that's because teams are stacking up on the run. So if it is windy, Maryland is 5th in the country in turnover margin, at about 1.5 per game. They get a lot of interceptions. This is a good defense, 3rd in the Big Ten. So it's not, I don't think this is going to be the shootout we've seen the last couple of weeks.
It sounds like it's certainly a game to not necessarily be worried about, but it's certainly one to take seriously. And frankly, the Iowa Hawkeyes need to take every game seriously because they're in the thick of what's going to be a really bunched up Big Ten West race, at least for now. Yeah. How is that shaping up, Chad?
Yeah, 4 teams with 1 loss. Northwestern has a slight edge with a 3-1 record and has some pretty impressive wins so far at Purdue, at Michigan State on the list. And then they obviously beat Nebraska in overtime this last week. So really, Iowa needs to keep winning. Northwestern still has to play with Wisconsin and come to Iowa City. Wisconsin still has to go to Evanston, go to West Lafayette, go to State College. And Iowa's schedule. They have to go to Penn State, go to Purdue,
right?
Take care of business against Northwestern. So it's going to be fun. Iowa's not out of it, even though it seemed that way like 3-4 weeks ago or whatever it was. But they're back in it the way they're playing.
Look, we're at a really exciting part of the season. I think the interest is going to ramp up with each week, so stay tuned to HawkCentral.com for all of our coverage, and have a good rest of your week.